Hey everybody, Kneecap here. I'm gonna make a video, a class-specific video, showing you exactly how you should be playing Holy Paladin here in Legion for mostly PvE. Although, of course, some things translate to PvP. I didn't want to specifically say that it was for PvP because I know that there is more nuance, and I don't want to give someone bad advice in arena or anything. So this is going to be mostly for PvE because that's what I've done so far, and Holy Pally is what I main play, and I am pretty good at it, so you can trust most things I say, and I'll let you know if something I'm saying is going to be debatable or whatnot. So we'll just go ahead and start in our talent tree. Obviously, you want to be in Holy Specialization. You go to your talents. Now, all the numbers and every guide I see tells me to choose Bestow Faith here. Infuse a friendly target with Faith for 5 seconds, healing them for 182,000 at the end. If I go down here, after spell damage and whatnot, that's basically just a little bit less than what my Holy Light does or Flash of Light does without any kind of synergy. So basically what that is it's meant to put on, let's say, the tank, and it costs low mana, and after 5 seconds, he's going to get another heal, like an extra Holy Light on him, let's say. And that's kind of what that's meant to do. But in a raid situation, I found myself too often not using it, even though I should keep it up on the tank at all times. There was a lot of times where the tank didn't need healed, but the raid needed healed from certain mechanics. And I'm wondering if Bestow Faith maybe is just better for a dungeon and not a raid, or at least not a raid where you're taking full raid damage. Obviously, Holy Pallies are not meant to heal the entire raid and are supposed to be mostly on the tanks. But Holy Pallies are so good that you can keep up the tanks pretty easily, especially if they're good tanks. And if I have to choose between putting this on a full tank, or putting this on a tank at full health, or Light's Hammer, which is what I've chosen, then I'm going to go with Light's Hammer personally. I just wasn't using it enough. So if you are using it constantly, then I would definitely use Bestow Faith here. But if you're not, I would urge you to choose Light's Hammer. What Light's Hammer does is it hurls a light-infused hammer to the ground, blasts a 10-yard radius for 2 seconds, every 2 seconds for 14 seconds, excuse me. And each blast deals 40,000 holy damage and heals up to 6 allies for 15,000 a tick. Now, why I choose this is basically, first of all, it hits 6 allies instead of 5, which is what your Light of Dawn does. And I kind of use this to help heal melee or tanks, so I can put this on either both tanks and do damage on the boss, or I can put it on myself in the melee and heal us a little bit while doing a little bit of damage as well. It only has a 1-minute cooldown. It's not super low mana cost. For what it does, I kind of like it, but I use it more because it's only a minute cooldown and it gives you some direct results right away. I know it doesn't heal like, a super amount or anything, but I do like using it, and it's definitely been my preferred choice so far, at least with our raid setup. So you're going to choose between those two. Crusader's Might, that reduces the cooldown of Holy Shock and Light of Dawn. I'm actually debating on using this. There'll be certain fights in the raid. If you have good healers, there's been times where, for example, we raid anywhere between 11 and 15 people right now with 3 healers, and our healers are all pretty good. So if we only have, regardless, if we only have 11 people, sometimes we could just 2 heal it probably. So I have been DPSing a lot as Holy, and then throwing heals when they're needed. And another situation would be just a certain fight where you only need 2 healers probably, like, or you only need 4 healers instead of 5 if you're a higher number raid team. You could find yourself not having anyone to heal, in which case you should be DPSing. Every little damage helps, and in those specific fights, this could actually be useful. It's just in most fights, and if you're doing like heroic and you just need to be constantly healing, then that's not going to be the best thing. But if you do have that ability, there's been multiple fights where this actually would have helped me more than Light's Hammer, because I could have kept casting my Light of Dawn on the melee and just keep him up with that. So that is an option, but very specific to certain fights and certain circumstances. In your next tier, you have Cavalier, which gives you another charge of your Divine Steed, Unbreakable Spirit, and Rule of Law. I use Unbreakable Spirit here, and I believe that's the preferred talent to use. It reduces the cooldown of your bubble, your Divine Protection, so your damage reduction, and your Lay on Hands by 30%. That's really good, especially the Divine Shield and Divine Protection. But Lay on Hands, I mean, that could be an extra time you get to use Lay on Hands, I guess. During a really long fight, you could use it twice. Rule of Law, I don't like that because it has a use, and it's not passive, and it kind of makes Beacon of the Lightbringer pointless, or Beacon of the Lightbringer makes you not need that. Cavalier, yes, it's nice to have more mobility, but it's better to have a bubble and Divine Protection. The go-to one here is usually Blinding Light, because it does damage as well, so people usually choose that one. Fist of Justice, that's definitely PvP. Repentance is PvP, PvE. I choose this mostly for dungeon, so I can CC things, but you can even CC things sometimes in the raid. And if you don't know, CC means crowd control, so Repentance is basically sapping an enemy and staying out of combat with it. In the next tier, you have Aura of Mercy, Sacrifice, and Devotion. Let's go over the two you probably don't want. Again, these are situational. Allies within 10 yards take 20% reduced damage, split over the number of allies in the aura. I mean, that's not too bad, especially for a big AoE fight. Again, it's going to be very situational. Or a Sacrifice, when you're above 75% health, 10% of all damage taken by allies near you is redirected at you. I definitely don't advise using that one, especially, that's just not, I don't think that would help that much. But Aura Mercy is the go-to one because it's constantly healing. If you have this is going to be probably in your top 5 on your heals and whatnot. And that's just the go-to one to use. The next line is a little bit more ambiguous. Sorry, there's a train coming. Divine Purpose. Light of Dawn and Holy Shock have a 15% chance to not start their cooldown, making their next cast free. That's similar to the Retribution talent that lets you use your Templar's Verdict again, or your Holy Power consuming abilities again. This is not a go-to, but it could be useful if you were on a lucky streak, I guess. Holy Avenger, this is the other one that I wouldn't recommend using Divine Purpose. Holy Avenger increases haste by 30%, Holy Shock healing by 30% for 20 seconds. This one you can use. This is just a healing cooldown and oh crap button that you can hit, and it's similar to Heroism, to be honest, and it increases your Holy Shock healing. And 20 seconds is a long time. I've definitely thought about going with that one. I haven't needed it really, another healing buff, so I just go with Holy Prism. Again, I can do a little bit of damage to the boss with it, and then it also heals my allies nearby the boss, so another way to heal melee. This would be more straight for tank healing and old crap button, in my opinion. And I have thought about using that because I am mostly a tank healer. In your next line, you have, again, 2 options really. You should probably not use Fervent Martyr. Beacon Light reduces the cost of your next Light of the Martyr by 50%, stacking. Light of the Martyr is your ability that takes damage to you to heal your tank. I haven't had to use it too much. There have been times where I have had to spam it because the tank was about to die maybe, but a lot of times your flashlight's quick enough that you'll be fine with that. The other good thing about Light of the Martyr is that it doesn't cost as much mana as Flash of Light, so that's a way to manage your mana as well. But this is purely tank healing, but it could be used, but not a lot of people use that one. Sanctified Wrath, again, it kind of goes with Holy Avenger, just kind of keeping your oh crap button stronger, basically. But the one I suggest using, especially if you're the only Holy Paladin in your raid or group, and you have to make sure you keep your judgment up on the boss, but what it's going to do is it's going to heal your allies every time they hit it. And as long as you keep it up on the boss, you're going to get a ton of healing from this. I believe on Xavius last night, this was like my 4th highest healing, was just casting Judgment on the boss. It really helps. It's raid healing, which Paladins aren't even good at, and you're healing everybody. Next and final line, Beacon of Faith, Beacon of Virtue, Beacon of Lightbringer. Beacon of Faith, mark your second target as a beacon, mimicking the effects of the Beacon of Light. I guess you could do this to 2 tanks or whatnot. I don't really find this to be too useful. Beacon of Virtue, Beacon of Light to your target, and 3 injured allies within 30 yards for 8 seconds. Your heals will heal all of them. Kind of a way to be a little bit of a raid healer, at least on the melee. So let's say your job is to heal the melee and the tank. I mean, you could possibly use that one. Again, I don't recommend it. What I recommend is Beacon of the Lightbringer. Mastery Lightbringer now increases your healing based on the target's proximity to either you or your Beacon of Light, whichever is closer. So, for example, if you have a situation where I'm a tank healer, most paladins are going to be tank healers. If my tanks are split up, I will put Beacon on one and I will go stand with the other one. And that way, as long as they're not within, out of, what, is it 60 yards? Yeah, as long as they're not 60 yards away from me, which in most fights they won't be, that will allow me to heal both tanks using all my mastery. So that's pretty much how the talents go. And let's go through the moves just really quick here. And obviously your first basic and heals that you're going to use are Flash of Light and Holy Light. They basically do the same amount of healing. Flash of Light costs more mana and is a quicker cast. So you're going to want to use Holy Light as much as you can. But knowing that at certain times you're just going to have to use your Flash of Light and kind of go through your mana a little bit more. Holy Shock is your most important ability. So you're going to cast Holy Shock, and if it crits, it's going to turn your Holy Light into a Flash of Light, except for the mana cost, which is super efficient. Or, I didn't crit that time, but it'll make your Flash of Light heal for a considerable amount more. I believe it's 10 or 20%. Let's see. Oh, it's actually 50%. Wow. So yeah, it increases your Flash of Light by a considerable amount more when your Holy Shock crits. Holy Shock is your most important heal. Because of that, you're buffing your other heals, so you're using synergy. Always Holy Shock. If your tank's not hurt, Holy Shock someone that is hurt, so that way you have your choice of Holy Light or Flash of Light next. Light of Dawn is your only pure, somewhat AoE healing ability. It's just a cone attack, except for it's not an attack, and it's a heal, and heals up to 5 allies in front of you. This can be quite potent with the new artifact weapon traits and the yeah, just mostly the artifact weapon traits. I think there's 2 different ones that can increase your Light of Dawn in one way or another, especially that proc where it can hit twice. So like right now, if mine procs and crits, I heal for over 1,000,000 on the people in front of me. Let's go to Aura Mastery. This is an important move. Make sure you're using this. There is an artifact weapon trait that will actually increase this that I don't have yet, and that is Protection of Tier. But Aura Mastery is just going to empower your healing aura, which is what you should have chosen, and it's going to do more AoE healing. So again, you're just going to AoE heal the whole group while that's active, and it's actually quite nice to help get up a group, help your actual raid healers to get up the group quicker. Then you have your Avenging Wrath, which is of course just your wings. Everyone knows that if you've ever played a paladin or seen a paladin. Just increases everything. Healing done, critical healing increase, critical strike chance, just everything. Just super good heal there. Your beacon, the important thing about your beacon, of course, if you don't know how it works, is whatever targeted, whoever you target with your beacon is going to be healed when you use like your Flash of Light and Holy Light and Holy Shock and most of your abilities, pretty much everything but Light of the Martyr. Your Beacon of Light is going to receive a fraction of that healing as well, and 40% of the amount healed as well. And what's really nice about this is whatever tank it's on for you, you're going to get some mana back when you heal them directly. So that's always nice. If there's a tank swap ability, sometimes I actually would recommend switching your beacon target to the active tank, so that way you're not wasting as much mana. Then you have Light of the Martyr. Again, you sacrifice your own health at a low mana cost to heal a tank for a good amount, or anybody for a good amount. It doesn't have to be a tank, but it's just really quick. It's instant cast. I can't cast it on myself. You have Blessing of Sacrifice. You're going to put that on somebody who's taking a lot of damage, transfer some of the damage to you. Repentance Talent, we went over that. Consecration, you're not going to use that too much. I sometimes just drop it in the group while I'm AoE, while I'm DPSing the boss. Judgment, again, super important. If you pick that talent, you're going to keep Judgment up at all times, and that's going to really help your healing, especially AoE healing. Cleanse, kind of obvious. It cleanses the poison, disease, and magic effect. All healers need to be cleansing. Healers have gotten a little bit sloppy with that over the years, especially casual players. So all healers, you need to make sure you're cleansing, especially paladins. Blessing of Freedom. Anyone who's ever seen a paladin, again, kind of knows what that is. Your Holy Prism is a talent, just an instant cast heal. While it does AoE while it does AoE heal the melee if you hit the boss and tanks, it is also good just to kind of have an instant cast heal, just to throw on somebody real quick. That's nice as well. This is your Divine Hammer. Pretty big AoE radius there. Bubble, protection. Everyone knows that. Lay on Hands, Hammer of Justice. Here's your Tears Deliverance ability from your artifact weapon. Release the light within the silver hand for 10 seconds, healing an injured ally within 15 yards for 45 every little less than a second. Allies healed also receive 20% increased healing from your Holy Light and Flashlight spells. So it's kind of like an oh crap button, and it increases the heals of your Holy Light and Flashlight. Other than that, I think that's about all the moves. And the last thing I'll do is I'll go over what important stats are to you. I actually don't have mine set up very well. I did have my crit a lot higher, but I've been getting upgrades that were slowly costing me crit, and I have to stop doing that. I was actually at 37% crit, and now I'm down to 30. Crit is going to be your most important stat as a Holy Paladin, mostly because you're tank healing, and your whole... Well, I should say mostly because you're Holy Shock. You want your Holy Shock to crit, again, synergizing with your Holy Light and Flash of Light. But also, if your Flash of Light and Holy Light can crit, that's great too. Your Avenging Wrath has to do with crit. All your stuff synergizes with crit. Crit is your most important stat. Of course, after Intellect, crit is your most important stat. Next is, to me, it's kind of a tie. People say Versatility is next. I like Mastery because once you have your Beacon of the Lightbringer, you're typically going to be close. I mean, you can either go stand with the range if you do need to heal like the raid a little bit more, and they're close to you, so they're going to get increased healing, and then the melee will still be close enough to the tank to get the increased healing. So I don't think Mastery is that bad as long as you have Beacon of the Lightbringer. So Mastery Verse, I would say you can intermix those, and then your least important stat's going to be Haste, because hopefully your Holy Lights are going to be quick cast from your Holy Shock. You have a bunch of instant cast heals, and your Flash of Light doesn't really need to be any faster than it is. Just over 1 second cast for mine at even the low haste that I have. So if it's much faster than that, it's kind of pointless. I could conceive of a haste crit build to where you were your Holy Shock was on a less cooldown. So if you could almost have all haste and crit, I could see that kind of working just to get off more Holy Shocks. But I definitely don't recommend that at all, and it'd probably be pretty hard to find all haste and crit gear. But that's pretty much how your stats go. Artifact, weapon, I didn't even go the quote-unquote correct way, but I'll kind of go over what the abilities are real quick. You start here, critical strike chance, again, synergizing with crit. Judgment, this is more of a PvP ability. Holy Shot crit, very important. Again, synergizing with crit. Duration of your Divine Protection, I like that. Less damage. Avenging Wrath increases critical healing. So again, synergizing with crit. This is why crit's important, guys. Deliver the Light, increases healing done by Holy Light and Flash of Light. I really like that one. That and Holy Shock are my two favorite artifact traits. Power of the Silver Hand. Increasing the healing of your next Holy Shock by 10% of all damage and effective healing you do within the next 10 seconds. This is really nice. I've been hitting Holy Shocks for well over 1 million, and that is really nice. There's 2 Light of Dawn abilities, as I mentioned. Increased healing done by Light of Dawn in general. That's important, especially for healing the melee. Light of Dawn has a 15% chance to cast a second time. So again, that's how, if you hit 5, well, I guess if it hits a second time, actually I could conceivably heal for about 2 million health, which is just incredible. If you get a crit, you have this fully in, and this crits, I mean, that's going to be a big heal. Duration of Aura Mastery, which again is the thing that kind of is going to AoE heal as long as you have Aura of Mercy. Cooldown of Lay on Hands decrease. The next golden trait I'm going to get is Aura Mastery also increases healing received by party and raid members by 40 yards. So it's kind of going to actually turn that into a panic button. So instead of having like a Holy Avenger, this will kind of be a panic button for me as well as Avenging Wrath. Healing done by Light of the Martyr. This could be nice. I don't use Light of the Martyr that much yet, although we haven't progressed very far in heroic content, so it might become more important for me to use that. So that'll be probably where I go next. Damage take from Blessing of Sacrifice reduced. Again, that's probably what I'll go after that. Then grab this last golden trait. When the health of your Beacon of Light target falls below 50%, Holy Light or Flashlight on your Beacon of Light target will heal for an additional 100%. Can occur only once every 30 seconds. That's really strong. I wish it was a little bit more often than that, maybe every 15 seconds or something. Just a little bit more active than that, but still pretty nice. And reduces the cooldown of Blessing of Freedom, Protection, and Sacrifice. The big one here is Blessing of Sacrifice. There's not a ton of things that are going to be on your raid that require Blessing of Protection, and Blessing of Freedom is just kind of another cleanse for roots and stuff right now. So I didn't go for that one right away, but Blessing of Sacrifice, again, as the raids get harder, will have to be used more and more. That's about it for Holy Paladins. I went over everything. I'm sorry this was a little bit longer than I intended it to be, but I did want to make sure I was thorough. Again, just my tips to you would be mindful of your mana, use your Holy Shot, synergize it, Holy Light as much as you can. It's a slower cast. But if they're not hurt that bad, Holy Light, Holy Light, Holy Light doesn't cost almost anything. Light of Dawn for your AoE heal, and just be smart. Use your judgment. If your tank's taking too much damage, use your Blessing of Sacrifice. Go ahead and use Light of the Martyr. And it should be pretty easy. Paladins are in a good place right now. So good luck to anyone. Hopefully I was able to help someone, anyone, and hopefully people get a better idea of how to play Holy Paladin.